The Rock Whisperer. Do you hear the earth talking to you?
This is video section 4-2, and in this section we're going to be talking about the moon and phases and eclipses. So I'm sure we've all looked up into the sky and we see not the sun, but the moon in the sky. And you've probably heard many different, hopefully facts, but probably also stories about the moon and why we see different phases, and there might be some misconceptions. So let's investigate and explore a little bit. First, what you need to know is the moon is a satellite of the Earth. That means that the moon is orbiting or going around the Earth. So hopefully you've noticed the different phases. You've seen, a little sliver of the moon on the left, maybe a sliver on the right, or half the moon on the left, half the moon on the right, the whole moon when we have a full moon. But do you know what causes those phases? I know a lot of people would answer first, it's the shadow of the Earth. And that's not the reason that we have phases of the moon, but rather it's because of the light that we see and your relationship. So when we look at the diagram, you have the sun, you have the Earth, and depending where the moon is going to reflect light back towards the sun. And depending where the moon is around the Earth depends on what angle we see that light from. So there are times that we see all of it when it's in a straight line and the moon is on the far side. There are times we only see a little sliver when the moon is between or almost between the sun and the Earth. That's the reason that we have different phases of the moon. So the moon rotates on its axis or spins on its axis, and it takes 27.3 days. So 27 and a third days to make one rotation. It also takes the moon to go around the Earth once 27.3 days. But what you have to realize is as the moon is going around, the Earth is also moving. So in order to get back in that straight line for the new moon or the full moon as your starting point again, you have to add a little bit of extra time because the Earth is also moving. And that comes out to be 29 and a half days for your phase cycle to occur. I think we all know, or maybe we've even seen, an eclipse. It's when light gets blocked or you're not able to see an object. And we have two different types of eclipses that we can talk about, and you can see them in the picture on your screen. One, we have a lunar eclipse where the sun's light, the Earth passes between the sun and the moon, and we're not able to see the light reflecting back from the moon because of the Earth's shadow. The other is a solar eclipse, and that is in a much smaller area on the Earth, and that's when the moon passes between the sun and the Earth, and the sun is blocked out, or it's eclipsed. We don't have these every month, because if you look, you can see in the diagram that the moon's angle of inclination is tilted. So sometimes the moon is a little bit higher or a little bit lower as it moves around the Earth, and that angle wobbles slightly. So sometimes we have it in the shadow, and sometimes we don't. And we can predict that wobble, and therefore we can predict years out when we're going to have solar eclipses and when we're going to have lunar eclipses. And also when the moon is passing between the sun and the Earth, it's lower, so the moon's shadow is passing below the Earth, so therefore it's not affecting the sunlight that we receive. If you want to look up a little extra information, you may want to look up some information on a harvest moon or a blue moon, because you might have heard once in a blue moon. So you can kind of figure out what those different things mean, and we can bring it to class and we can discuss it. Thanks for watching.
Don't forget to listen to the earth. You just may hear it speak.